Hi there. Welcome to another video. Right now I have one earbud in because I had my first mental breakdown during a video. No, not during the video, but I filmed half a video and then I realized everything, just the light really covered up everything I filmed and it absolutely sucked. So now I'm filming with my phone, but because my phone has a really sucky mic, I'm doing this and I'm really hoping it works. So yeah, here we go. I was just holding Cujo. I thought let's do a video about my Stephen King collection because I have a lot of Stephen King books to share with you. And yeah, this idea came when I was shopping for books, normal booktube stuff. And I do this at book markets for Stephen King novels because I already have a lot of his most famous novels, and the ones that I have to still read, they don't sell in the stores, so I look for secondhand Stephen King novels. But okay, let's talk about some books. I'll start with the books of Stephen King that I have read. And the first one is Cujo. It's not the first one I've read, but the first one I'm holding. This story broke my heart. Sometimes Stephen King breaks my heart with a story, and this is one of those. Everybody knows what it's about, I think. It's about the dog called Cujo, and he gets sick and starts attacking people. And it's really sad because Cujo used to be a good boy, and now he's not. And that's just sad. So let's just not talk about it any further. It's a great book. But yeah, it's sad, okay? Then, the next one. This is Skeleton Crew. This is the first Stephen King novel I ever read. It's a short story collection which also contains The Mist, which is a very famous story. And yeah, I immediately fell in love with Stephen King while reading this book, and this is the reason I started my collection. Let me see. We have one of my favorites, Misery. This is about an author called Paul Sheldon, and after an accident, he is nursed by one of his superfans, and some crazy stuff happens because this superfan is absolutely insane. And this is a great example of Stephen King's descriptive writing because it's just he writes such a beautiful plot in here, and it's just, I don't know, the description of the surroundings is great, but it's absolutely beautiful and scary, but beautiful. Then another favorite, this one, it's, bit dead. I reread it last month. It's one of my absolute favorites. This is about Ralph Roberts, and after the death of his wife, he starts suffering from insomnia, and it's not a normal kind of insomnia. He keeps waking up earlier every single morning, and he's afraid he won't sleep at all. But then some weird things happen, and he understands why he's suffering from insomnia. And I love this. You should read it. It's one of his lesser well-known books, I think, but it's really great. So yeah. Why isn't there a movie of this one? Because amazing, okay? Oh my god, I have so many books here, it's not even funny. Then we go on to 11/22/1963. which is one of his bigger books. I read this one last year and absolutely loved it. I'm gonna say this about every Stephen King novel, but it's just true, you know? Um, it's about this guy, I don't know what he's called. Oh, Jake Epping. And he tries to prevent the assassination of John F. Kennedy. This he can do because he travels back in time in a kind of weird way, but you'll have to read it. Um, and he spends 5 years in the past before he can prevent this assassination. And at the end of the novel, we find out what happens if Kennedy would have stayed president. And it's great. You know, there is a lot of stuff happening in here. Also, some history around the actual assassin. So yeah, I like this one. Oh, absolute classic here. This is, I think, the second book I read from Stephen King. It took me ages because it's so freaking long. I do love the new film. The old one, I absolutely hate it. And I'm waiting for the second part of the new It movie because we've only seen the childhood scenes. Another great story. You know the synopsis. You don't have to hear it. It's good, okay? Another example of some great descriptive writing and a great cast of characters, by the way. Then, one of his lesser-known books again, The Girl That Loved Tom Gordon. This is about a little girl who gets lost while hiking in the woods with her family, and it's about her, well, journey of survival, I guess. And the only thing that keeps her alive, basically, is her favorite baseball player, Tom Gordon. He's sort of in her mind. And it's a cute but really sad story. And it's just about this girl's survival alone in the wild. And it's really good. I'm saying this about everything, but it's just true. Let's move on to... Oh my god, I don't know. I have a lot of Dutch versions, so I made a list of the English titles so you can pick them up. This is Full Dark, No Stars. Another great one. This is a short story collection. Normally Stephen King writes about more... I don't know, extraordinary things happening in normal situations with normal people. This is kind of realistic. There are normal people in this novel, and they happen to do weird things, things out of the ordinary. I like this short story collection because it's something different from what he normally does, and I really liked it, so yeah. One of my favorites, one of my absolute favorites is coming right now. The Long Walk. This, when I picked it up at the bookstore and I read the synopsis, I was already hooked. Because the synopsis says, oh, I have to translate this. Okay, The Long Walk. The distance to cross is 700 kilometers. The rules: you can't walk any slower than 6 kilometers per hour. You have to keep moving, and there will only be one winner. When you don't do something according to the rules, you get a warning. The fourth and final warning is a bullet. And then the contestants, 100 carefully selected teenagers, and one of them is Ray Garrity. So we read this from the perspective of Ray Garrity, and oh my god, so much really, I don't know how to say this without cussing, but some stuff broke my heart, and the ending, it had me thinking about it for 4 days, because I couldn't take it, but it was great. So please read this. It's one of my absolute favorites. Then. Ah, Elevation. I was gonna rant about this book in my first video. You can see a beginning of that rant, me like stuttering and then giving up on it because I didn't want to rant in my first video, but a lot of people are hating on this book, but it's great, okay? I think the problem is that it's marketed as a horror story. This is what Stephen King writes mostly, but it's not a horror story. It's a story about, I don't know, about letting go, about doing some weird things. Let me just explain the plot to you. It's Scott Carey, I can't pronounce his name, but he keeps looking the same, but he starts losing weight, like, rapidly. And he still, like, has the fat stomach and stuff like that, because he was a pretty big man. But at one point, he's gonna hit 0 kilograms. And he still looks the same. So this is the story about him losing weight. And also there are some themes in here that get you thinking. There is a lesbian couple that isn't accepted into the community, and this man, Scott, kind of helps them even though they got off on the wrong foot. And the ending is, yeah, it's an emotional ending, but I absolutely loved it. So also read this one. But if you're gonna hate on it because it isn't a horror novel, even though it's advertised as horror, get away. Okay? Don't go to me. Don't go crying to me. It's great. You gotta love non-horror books as well, and this is a great one. So another classic, The Green Mile. Everybody knows this story, and it's one of the few Stephen King books that has a great adaptation. Actually, some Stephen King books have great adaptations, but this one has a really great adaptation. Like, I loved the movie, I loved the book, then I saw the movie, I cried. I cried because of the movie and not because of the book, so they did something great there. But the book also really great. Can't say anything else about it. I love this. Yeah. Oh my god, so many books. Oh, let's get into a book I hated. This is, oh my god, Blockade Billy. I didn't like this at all. I don't even remember most of the story, but I didn't like it at all. It was really short, and I just, I have so many feelings about this one. I don't know how to express them because I just didn't like it. That's just my feeling. I didn't like it. I'm not even going to tell you the synopsis. Don't read it, please. You're gonna hate this. Maybe, okay, maybe you're not, but I didn't like it, okay? There's that. Then, Sleeping Beauty's another one of his big books. Yeah, I have some mixed feelings about this one as well. I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it either. It's just okay, I guess. I did get through it entirely, so, it has to be a good book for me to read like 800 pages. But it was kind of weird. I didn't understand what was happening most of the book, but I did understand in the end, of course. It's about all around the world, women who fall asleep, they get wrapped in some sort of cocoon and don't wake up. And there's only one woman that can sleep without having this happen to her, and there's something very special about her. Yeah, we follow the story mostly of the men in this world trying to wake up the women. But some weird stuff happens, as something weird happens in every Stephen King novel, you know, basically. um, so yeah, there's that. Oh my god. My stack of books is almost falling over and I'm not even halfway there. So, um, then, oh my god, this is so heavy. This is Under the Dome. These are the both of the parts of the duology in one book. So I read through this in one go, not in one sitting. But I love this one. I saw parts of the series before actually reading the book, and I was thinking, what did Stephen King write about? Because the series was so weird. And then I read this, and it wasn't that weird at all, you know? It was a great story about a town and the people in the town. There's a lot of characters in this story, but I really liked it. So yeah. I think I have said about almost every Stephen King novel that I liked it, but it's the truth. Okay, yes. Then, oh my god. A trilogy. This is the Mr. Mercedes trilogy, with the first book, Mr. Mercedes, then Finders Keepers, and End of Watch. Let me tell you, this is one of, the series, one of the books from Stephen King that, you know, he just broke my heart. He has a way of breaking my heart at the end of books, and this is a series that did that. Let me just tell you one by one what they're about. This is about Mr. Mercedes. It's about the Mercedes killer. It's someone who drove over people with a Mercedes, and he's still on the loose. Nobody knows who it was. He was really careful about stuff, but at one point he writes to the retired officer Bill Hodges, and Bill Hodges is in a bad place at that moment. But after the Mercedes killer writing about how Hodges basically should kill himself, Hodges actually finds a reason to live again and tries finding the Mercedes killer again. Which, great story, okay? It was really suspenseful. Also, love the cover with all the blood spatters. So yeah, then on to the next book. The second book, kind of meh at first, but when I read the third book, I understood why the second book was there. This is about a guy who stole some basically secret works of an author he loved, but he also killed the author, so he's the only one who has those books. But then he is locked up for another crime, and he has to wait like 35 years. Yeah, 35 years for him to read those books that he stole. And in the meantime, boy finds the manuscripts and starts reading the entire series. And when the criminal gets out of jail, he's not very happy. And then we have Bill Hodges again. He only comes in like in the second part of the book. I was really surprised that he wasn't there earlier because it's the Bill Hodges trilogy. But, you know, and he starts helping this family because they're in danger, because the criminal is absolutely insane. He's killed a lot of people. And yeah, that. Then the final book, this one broke my heart. The ending absolutely broke my heart. I do love this cover, by the way. This ending is just so sad. It's again about the Mercedes killer. At the ending of the first book, something happens to him, which basically makes him unable to do anything. But in this book, he's found a way, and he's gotten some powers that are very dangerous, and he tries to kill people from the place where he's at. but the ending absolutely killed me inside. Oh my god, it was good, it was amazing, but it broke my heart. So yeah. Let's just go on to the next book. Oh my god. Okay, so I'm done with all the books I have read. We're going on to the books that I haven't read yet. I'll finish with the books I got today because I want to tell you about my journey, you know, but I still have a very big stack of books first. First of all, Doctor Sleep. This is the second part of The Shining. I think it's a duology. Yeah. Let me tell you, I didn't really like The Shining. I do have The Shining, but it's on my e-reader, so I don't have a physical copy of it. But I didn't really like it. I didn't like the film as well, even though so many people love it. This is probably a really unpopular opinion, but I didn't like it. But I do want to read Doctor Sleep because it's about Dan being a grown-up and, you know, struggling with what happened in The Shining, so there's that. Then I want to read this very soon. This is Pet Cemetery. By the way, I love this cover. It's just a cat judging you, you know. It's really judging you. But okay. I wanted to read this soon because the film is already out. Yeah, it's already out. But you probably know what this is about because there is a film out. So yeah. Okay, here are some newer editions. I have a lot of new editions as well. This is Revival. I don't know what this is about. I just love the cover and I love the title, so that's why I bought it. Also, love the author, so that's the main reason I bought it. Then, oh my god, I still have to, okay. Oh, this is Everything's Eventual. I think this is a short story collection. Yes. This is a short story collection. I bought this in the bookstore because for some reason all the Stephen King novels were sold for less in the entire country. I don't know why, but I got a deal for let me see, 3 for 2, so yes. Then the second one from the 3 for 2 thingy is The Eyes of the Dragon. I don't know if this is not the short story collection. Also love this cover. Don't know anything about it. I really need to like read the synopsis before I pick up a Stephen King novel, but I don't really care either, so I'm probably gonna love it anyway. Then Christine, I think, yeah, this is a classic, you know, Stephen King classic. Yeah, that's all I have to say. Then, this is the movie edition. I really love this cover of The Dark Tower. The first one, Sharpshooter. Hi, Birgit from the future here to correct my mistake. It's Gunslinger, not Sharpshooter. I still have to read this one and all the other ones, but I don't even have the rest of the series yet. But I do have it on my e-reader, but I don't really like reading on an e-reader, so I do want to get the physical copies of every single one of these, and in the same edition, because otherwise I feel like dying inside while looking at my bookshelves and seeing different editions of the same series, you know? I hope you understand that. Then we have the Bazaar of Bad Dreams. I can't even pronounce this. Another short story collection. I've heard some mixed things about this, but I had to pick it up. Also because of the cover, just look at this. It's majestic. But also a bit scary though. Then, okay, so for my Stephen King books, as I've said before, I have a lot of them, and I have all the famous ones that are in the bookstore, so I have to get a lot of them on markets, and here in my town slash the city next to my town, they have this humongous market every single year with so many books. And I always go on a sort of scavenger hunt for Stephen King novels, also for different ones, don't worry. And I look for the lesser known, and there are a lot of stands that have, I think, like almost all the Stephen King books. And that's just great. So this is one I got last year. It's Duma Key. I'm not sure about what I'll think of it. It has a very short synopsis, but I liked all the random objects on the back and here on the front, and just how it looked, you know? Buying books because of the author and the cover. That's basically a description of my life. Then this is One Past Midnight, oh my god, can I even read? Langeles? Something like that. It's, well, it's not a short story collection, but okay, sort of is, but it's two stories, and, well, I think a pretty big book. These are both stories about time, and I love stories about time, so that's why I picked it up, also at one of those little markets. Then, oh, a very recent one, The Outsider. I begged my dad to get this one from America while he was there, and he got it for me. I absolutely love this cover, and I heard you had to read the Bill Hodges trilogy before reading this one, so at that time I hadn't read the Bill Hodges trilogy. Now I have, so I can start reading this one. There are some priorities before this one though. But yeah, it's about another investigation. It's sort of thriller. I think there's some horror in there, as by looking at the cover, you know, a man holding something with very scary red eyes, you know? Am I holding it upside down? I'm holding it upside down. The man is upside down. Oh my god. Why didn't you tell me? You couldn't, but I was holding it upside down. Okay, this book, yeah. Oh my god, so many. Okay, then the last thingies, last stack of books, I got these ones today at one of the markets. Also, I got this really cute tote bag. Oh my god, I can't even. That says bibliophile and then whoop, the definition. Because, you know, I spent a lot of money on books, and he was like, here's a tote bag, and I'm like, thank you. Otherwise I wouldn't be able to carry it all across the marketplace thingies, so, you know, thank you. So these are there are some classics in here, but also some lesser known books, I think. First of all, Needful Things, one of Stephen King's books in Castle Rock. I don't have a lot of his books that are in Castle Rock. Most of them are in Derry or somewhere else. I think I've only read one book that was set in Castle Rock, but this one is. So, there is some weird stuff happening in Castle Rock, as always, and it has to do with a shop called Needful Things. So yeah. Then we have Bag of Bones. Don't know what this is about again. I need to read into all the synopsises before. Is that a plural? Synopsises? I'm making this a word. Okay, this is a word now. Yeah. It's stuff and things, you know? It's Stephen King, probably at his best. Let me see what year it is, because I can see which are his best. Okay, it's not his super best, but probably at his best. Also, love all the other editions of other books that I already own. Looks awesome. Okay, let me just move on. Then, oh, I love this cover. Just look at it. It's Lizzie's story, and oh my god, you can see what I paid for it. It's like €4. Not much. I love that about markets. You know, if I had bought all these books in the store that I bought today, I probably would have spent more than €100, and I only spent about 35, so yay. But this is Lizzie's story. It's a bit of one of his well-known books, I think. Yeah. Also, it's a floppy paperback. Who doesn't love a floppy paperback? If you don't love floppy paperbacks, who are you? This is, by the way, getting to become a really long video, but you know, I don't care. I'm just enjoying myself, showing you my Stephen King collection, talking about my favorite author. I hope you're enjoying this as well, even though I'm not looking at the camera all the time because I have a real struggle at looking at cameras. But you know. Then one other classic. This is Salem's Lot. You know what this is about, maybe. If you don't, look it up, because I don't know. Also, this cover, he looks shook. Okay, do you see this, by the way? I have this reflection thing going on. Actually liking it. If you don't like it, that's sad, because I'm not gonna film this video again, because I already did it once. But he looks shook. That's all I have to say. Oh my god, I almost let it slip. What is this one called? Firestarter? Is this Firestarter? This is Firestarter. Another €4 book. Yeah, let's go. It's about, yeah, there was an experiment that Andy McGee and his wife Vicky participated in, and they were testing an unknown drug, and they didn't really have any symptoms or anything. But they do see some weird things happening with their daughter Charlie when she's born. And you know, that's basically what happens. She starts fires. That's why it's called Firestarter. Then this little synopsis on the front got me shook. It says, imagine everyone using their mobile phone changing into a murderous zombie. If I would have seen this little synopsis not knowing Stephen King, I think, what is this? Is this gonna be one of those really bad zombie books, you know? But Cell, it's called Cell, by the way. It seems like fun. I don't know. I like zombie novels. I like post-apocalyptic things, and this sort of is that, but also not, because only the people using phones turn into zombies. We, by the way, follow our main character, who doesn't have a phone. Just like Stephen King doesn't, according to the synopsis. Okay. You know? And then the very last book I'm talking about today, after almost, it's almost 40 minutes, this video. I'm gonna have to edit out some bits probably, but you know, we don't care. The last book, The Running Man, it's normally in short stories, but I saw it and I was like, I gotta get it, you know? And in the short story collection that I saw with this one, also The Long Walk is in there, and I didn't want to get another copy of The Long Walk, even though I do freaking love it, okay? But this is The Running Man. When I looked up the English title, by the way, I immediately thought about the movie The Running Man. I think I saw parts of it with Arnold Schwarzenegger, And I'm expecting some weird stuff in this to happen because the movie was that weird. And yeah. So, this was my Stephen King collection. It took me eternity to film this, but I'm really glad I did because I had a lot of fun. And, again, like, subscribe, keep reading what you're reading, keep loving what you're reading, do what your heart desires, and I'm just saying, bye.